the socialist kingdom that is Melbourne. Hopefully not for too much longer. But, welcome to the Eureka Conservative podcast and the Bob Rant, featuring myself and my good mate, JK. Bored already. Look at that beautiful face. Anyway, welcome, everyone. First, as always, let's give you a look at the bay. Got to wash my windows this weekend. They're getting absolutely filthy. If you've lived close by the bay, it just sprays up all the dirt and dust, and you've got to wash them regularly. But that's our bay. If you can see through our windows, it is really just, I've got to get out this weekend and clean them. The weather's not been great for doing it. It's either been too hot or too cold, but she's pretty overcast and pretty cool, actually, for summer compared. As you can see, I've got my hoodie on, and only a few days ago, I was down in my T-shirt and shorts because it was, over 40. So typical Melbourne. Beautiful one day, crappy the next. So it's not terrible today, but just breezy, overcast. You shouldn't be wearing a hoodie in the summer. Anyway, if I was a climate change alarmist, I'd be saying the end of the world is nigh because, the weather's changing. Anyway, I've got a bit to catch up on because I missed out on yesterday and Sunday. Naughty that I was, but I had to mow the lawn. I had to mow 3 lawns on Sunday, and then yesterday I just didn't get around to it. So hope if you can forgive me, 13th, 12th, 11th. So I've got 3 to do. So bear with me as I get through it. Mark 12, 1 through 12, the tenants in the vineyard. Jesus' hearers knew readily enough that this parable was aimed at some God's special people, the Jews. Yeah. The Jews are in the news all the time, aren't they, at the moment? Just crazy. When I'm talking the news, social media news. Then Jesus spoke to them in parables. Once there was a man who planted a vineyard, put a fence around it, dug a hole for the wine press, and built a watchtower. Then he let out the vineyard to, do you say vineyard or vineyard? I'm saying vineyard. To tenants and left home on a journey. When the time came to gather the grapes, he sent a slave to the tenants to receive from them his share of the harvest. The tenants seized the slave, beat him, and sent him back without a thing. Then the owner sent another slave. The tenants beat him over the head and treated him shamefully. The owner sent another slave. How many slaves this guy got? And they killed him and treated many others the same way, beating some and killing the others. The only one left to send was the man's own dear son. Last of all, then, he sent his son to the tenants. I'm sure they will respect my son, he said. But those tenants said to one another, this is the owner's son. Come on, let's kill him, and his property will be ours. So they seized the son and killed him and threw his body out of the vineyard. What then will the owner of the vineyard do? Asked Jesus. He will come and kill those men and hand the vineyard over to the other tenants. Surely you have read this scripture. The stone which the builders rejected as worthless turned out to be the most important of all. This was done by the Lord. What a wonderful sight it is. The Jewish leaders tried to arrest Jesus because they knew that he had told this parable against them, but they were afraid of the crowd, so they left him and went away. Okay. Pretty sure the parable is that vineyard is the Jewish Pharisees, and the son at the end was the Son of God. And what will the owner of the vineyard, being God, do? Asked Jesus. He will come and kill those men and hand the vineyard over to other tenants. That's interesting. Lots of interesting passages in there. So, yeah. I'll have to read up on that one. That's an interesting one. All right. So they're obviously all open for interpretations. My initial sense is that's the Jewish people, the tenants, the owner is God, the son is Jesus, and they sent all his prophets for them. They killed them. They killed Jesus. And so he's come back, killed them, and he's handing it over to the rest of the world. That's the parable, I think. I could be wrong. If I'm not, I am. Sorry. You can always correct me. All right. Psalm 130, 1 through 8, a prayer for help. Certainly need that. The psalmist expresses his despair and need for God's forgiveness, and then shows how he trusts God in this situation. From the depths of my despair, I call to you, Lord. Hear my cry, O Lord. Listen to my call for help. Sorry, I've got my dog wanting to get at my feet. If you keep, just to show you what I've got to put up with, there it is. If you keep a record of our sins, who could escape being condemned? But you forgive us. So what we should stand in... Oh, I'm starting again. From the depths of my despair, I call to you, Lord. Hear my cry, O Lord. Listen to my call for help. If you kept a record of our sins, who could escape being condemned? But you forgive us, so that we should stand in awe of you. I wait eagerly for the Lord's help, and in his word I trust. I wait for the Lord more eagerly than watchmen wait for the dawn, Israel, trust in the Lord, because his love is constant and he is always willing to save. He will save his people Israel from all their sins. That one's a bit hard to figure out. I'm not so great with the Psalms. Anyway, speaking of which, I've got another one here for today. A prayer for forgiveness. Faced with the reality of his sins, the psalmist throws himself on God's mercy and seeks his forgiveness so that he can again have a pure heart. Psalms 51, 1 through 12. Be merciful to me, O God, because of your constant love. Because of your great mercy, wipe away my sins. Wash away all my evil and make me clean from my sin. I recognize my faults. I'm always conscious of my sins. I have sinned against you, only against you, and done what you considered evil. So you are right in judging me. You are justified in condemning me. I've been evil from the day I was born, from the time I was conceived. I have been sinful. Sincerity and truth are what you require. Fill my mind with your wisdom. Remove my sin, and I will be clean. Wash me, and I will be whiter than snow. Let me hear the sounds of joy and gladness. And though you have crushed me and broken me, I will be happy once again. Close your eyes to my sins and wipe out all my evil. Create a pure heart in me, O God, and put a new and loyal spirit in me. Do not banish me from your presence. Do not take your Holy Spirit away from me. Give me again the joy that comes from your salvation and make me willing to obey you. Forgiveness is a really good discussion with some family members over Christmas. So whether you're Protestant, born again, Christian, Catholic, whatever, there's just different versions of reading the Bible, and some are strict black and white and all that sort of thing. So we got into forgiveness, and it is interesting. One of my mates who's a strict born again Protestant, sort of lingers in between it. He was a Catholic, became a Protestant, born again sort of thing. And we had an interesting conversation. And he said, for example, which I'll sort of segue here in a bit of a rant. He told me that as long as you acknowledge Christ and you ask for forgiveness of your sins, then everything you've done in your life will be forgiven and you'll be able to make your way to heaven. So I put up into him this, as long as you acknowledge Christ, as long as you're a Christian. And this is where I think it all gets a bit muddled, all right? So I'm a Catholic, I'm a Christian, all that sort of thing. But I do think God builds up, and thank God it's in the Catholic faith. You can, as a non-Catholic, build up good deeds that will see God acknowledge you at the end of days and allow you to pass into heaven as long as you meet certain criteria and all that sort of thing. But it still says, even in the Catholic Bible, because I looked into it, that's for people that never have a realistic chance to understand Christ or be introduced to Christ, which is pretty hard these days. Anyway, so my mate was telling me, so I gave him this example. I said, if I was Hitler and I'd murdered all these peoples and caused these wars, blah, 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 before the NSN, I'm using this as an example. So all you NSN types, calm down. You know, we just disagree on that subject matter. I'm very much an historical base. So listen, whoever it is, you're a dictator, all right? Whether it's Hitler, Stalin, Mayo, whoever. And you've killed millions, you started wars, you've caused misery, and And I said, so if he gets to his end of days, he's on his deathbed and he's done all that evil through all his time, if he's asking God for forgiveness and he accepts Christ as his savior, I said, all those sins will be written off and he'll be forgiven. And their answer to that was yes. I said, okay, that's interesting. Not the way I interpret it, but let's say it's true. I said, what about a Jewish guy? So he's a Jewish guy. So he's lived by his tenets. He's been faithful. He's lived by the 10 Commandments. Doesn't acknowledge Jesus Christ as the Messiah, but acknowledges the Father of Jesus Christ as his true God. And he observes the Sabbath. He goes to the synagogue regularly. He does all the right things by his faith. And I said he gets on his deathbed, but still refuses to acknowledge Jesus Christ as the Messiah, because that's what he's been taught since he was a kid, raised, all that sort of thing. But everything else he's done well. And I said, will he go to heaven? And the answer was no. And I said, well, that makes zero sense. I said, the God, the Jesus that I was taught about, would acknowledge, from where I read, and I said, sometimes you've got to make a gut call. My belief is the Jesus I was talked about would actually welcome that Jewish guy into heaven, and the other guy, he probably would not. The dictator, I'm not going to say he wouldn't, but he'd have to go to purgatory if you believe in that or something. But I just found that a bit hard to swallow. All right. So anyway, we all have our theories and all that sort of thing. And sometimes, like I said, I'm just reading this every day as a tribute to Charlie Kirk. I'm a Catholic. I believe in the Bible. I read it. I understand those who don't. I'm no theologian. I just give my own little thoughts on it. So if you want to disagree or agree with it, that is fine. Don't know why I'm looking at my phone. So anyway, sorry. Went all evangelistic on everyone. Sorry. Time for the rant. What are we going to rant about today? Well, let me guess. Top of the list would be elbow and the elbow. Politicians generally, tonight, Eureka podcast, 8:00, we're coming up with a policy that is going to make all these bastards accountable to us, the people, not to any. I think it's great that One Nation's rising in the polls, but there's got to be more direct method of democracy. Okay, Albo's done the Royal Commission, and he's managed to get through the Royal Commission calling it without mentioning radical Islam once. Pretty good effort, considering it was 2 radical Islamists that shot dead. I said 16 today. I thought it went up to 16, but someone corrected me and said it was 15. Whatever it was, who cares? I'm not worried about pedantics. The fact is, 2 crazy radical Islamists shot dead 15 or 16 people, injured another 40 or more, and they don't manage somehow to have a Royal Commission without mentioning radical Islam or the hate preachers that radicalize them. It all gets, and I'm a big supporter of the Jewish community. I have been for quite some time. But I think their leaders have let them down this time, because what have they gone to do? They've gone and focused on anti-Semitism. It should have been a focus on radical Islam, extremism, people who want to tear down our society. I don't include Jewish community, obviously, in that. And for all your faults, I'm not a big fan of NSN. I hate their policies, hate their ideology. And if they ever got in power, this country would be in a mess. But they haven't done anything that broke the law. What have they done? Yeah, I mean, I can disagree with them. I can dislike them. I can hate their ideology. I can hate their policies. But they haven't broken the law. They haven't shot anyone. They haven't run over anyone. They've done some stupid protests in front of Parliament. But anyone can do stupid protests. I mean, if everyone was going to be getting locked away for stupid protests, we'd have tens of thousands of people. 300,000 people that marched over the Sydney Harbour Bridge, locked them all up. It's just, and they must think we're stupid. And to be honest, they're probably right. The majority of Australians probably, I don't know that they don't get it. I don't know that why people aren't doing what I'm doing or others and expressing. You watch all the Australia Day marches they've got planned, they're all going to get canned. You watch, you're not going to be able to have them. They've set this Royal Commission up, and they're using that disgraceful incident at Bondi to oppress the rest of the nation. When they should be focused, laser focused on radical Islam and the extremists that radicalize these two idiots, when they should be focused on that, we're all going to get the hate speech laws. We're all going to get the extra gun laws. We're all going to get our speech banned. We're all going to get the organisations that you might join up. I don't join any organisation. Join one, and I got out of that pretty quick. Then you're not going to be able to do it. But you should have the right to join an organisation as long as it's not threatening anybody else. Now, again, this will all come back to the far right and the NSN. If you want to make the far right and the NSN a target, well, do it. But don't avoid your responsibilities to make radical Islam a target. It's just a convenient whipping boy, just like hate speech is a convenient whipping boy. And sadly, the Jewish community has fallen for it. They want to embrace all of anti-Semitism. I'm a Christian. People hate Christianity. I'm a Catholic. People hate Catholics. Get over it. Seriously, just get over it. Just because my next door neighbour might hate me for being a Catholic doesn't stop me being a Catholic. Just because someone hates you for being a Jew shouldn't stop you from being Jewish. Now, it's when that person who hates me for being Catholic decides to break the law, that's when he's accountable. If he wants to come over here and spray paint my fence with ugly slogans or break into my house or cause me injury or cause someone I care about injury, okay, then he's got to have the law thrown at him. We've got enough laws. We don't need more laws. There's plenty of laws. I read somewhere, and God, I hope this isn't right, this is going to be retrospective back to 2003. Well, I mean, who decides what is hate speech? There's stuff I can put on my feed, for example, right? Because I'm a conservative and I have certain views on immigration. And I think they're pretty fair. I don't think they're racist in any means. But someone, if we've got a left-leaning government, could twist some of my posts and tweets on Twitter and claim that that's hate speech. Who decides that? I don't decide that. Right? Who does decide that? And if that person can decide my speech is hate, I'm in a lot of trouble. They're talking about banning X now, because Elbow Cunt doesn't like himself being put up in a bikini. I mean, it's funny, but it's sad. But my gut feel is don't underestimate them. They'll probably go through with it. If they've got the three Marxists, and they are Marxists, stop calling them socialist. When you start oppressing speech and putting down speech, you're a Marxist. And that's exactly what they're trying to do with X, because too many people are getting on there like we're doing right now and exchanging views and listening to someone else's views and saying, well, yeah, I agree with that guy. No, that guy's a dickhead. That exchange of views and debate and free speech, they want to oppress that because it's making them look stupid. It's convincing. I reckon Elbow's petrified of the polls. To see One Nation surging and to see that he could get kicked out, he knows what's going to happen if the polls keep going the way they're going. He's going to lose his job. He doesn't want to lose his job. He loves his job. Why wouldn't you? You're getting paid everywhere. You got your fake wife and she's not arm in arm. Has anyone ever seen these two arm in arm like a loved up couple? I mean, they've just got married. They had an engagement. I've never seen them behave like a loved up couple. These should be your best years as a partner and wife. But remember the photos of him coming back from his honeymoon? The honeymoon in the airport, and she's dragging along behind him with the luggage as he's storming in the front. When he met the Australian cricket team, did he have his wife arm in arm, or did he have his dog under his armpit, little Toto? I mean, the guy's a fraud, but he gets to go to the Australian Open, all the AFL grand finals, all the rugby grand finals, all the cricket, and he'll go into the rooms, and it's just stroking his ego. You can see it. And he had no idea how to lead through this thing. But the people you got to be careful of with Elbow is not so much Elbow, I reckon. The people you got to be careful of the scheming bastards behind him in the background. So the Tony Burks, Michelle Rowland, wouldn't trust that bitch as far as I can kick her. Miles, the Deputy Premier, and Penny Wong. And, he's just got a bunch of vipers and snakes behind him, and they would manipulate Elbow to take whatever stance. I don't think Elbow's smart enough or strong enough to come up with ideas to oppress the country, but Burke is. Look, I hate Burke with a passion. He's the most treasonous bastard I've ever seen in politics. But don't underestimate him. He's cunningly smart. Cunningly smart. He would throw his mother under a bus to stay in power and keep his position. That's it. So, we've had all that. So they're trying to ban X. They're trying to ban our speech. They're trying to take away people's guns. They're trying to restrict people from assembly. And if the Liberals vote for this omnibus bill, it's going to be very interesting to see where they go, because then it's just crap. They don't believe in what's on their values that they place on the website. They've got to take a stand against it, and I'm not confident the moderates will be in this all the way. Susan Ley, in many respects, has surprised me with some of this, how strong she's been in some of this, but then she went back to moderate road when she started attacking X, because Albo started attacking X. Labor light bullshit. So are we where the rubber meets the road in this country? And I'm going to talk more on this tonight. Are true conservatives within the LNP? I think the Nationals are okay. I got some concerns about it's the moderates in the Liberal Party that the LNP have got to lose. If you can't lose them, I don't think you got any other choice. You've got to jump over to One Nation. So I'm going to be writing next week to every Liberal politician. Once more, I've already said this to them, and I'm going to put it again, and I'm going to keep pushing it. I think, we've all been, I've been dying for a Conservative Party that could win government. One Nation is very close to reaching that point. So we've had all our minor party disputes, but now One Nation is grabbed the bull by the horns, and if the polls are to be correct on a two-party preferred basis, One Nation could win government. Now, there's a lot of water to go under that bridge, but what they do need is what the Liberals have got. All right, the Liberals have got a bunch of people that have got government experience, have served as ministers, who've worked on policy development, and I'm talking the Conservative Liberals here. I'm talking the Hasties, the Angus Taylor, the Michaela Cash, the Jacinta Price. If they're really serious about the best interests of the nation, if Pauline Hanson is really serious about the best interests of the nation, there should be coming together of the minds on the Conservative side, because this is their chance to win government. And Pauline Hanson would go down in the history books if she was gracious enough, and I don't know what. But I don't think, I love Pauline. I mean, you won't get a bigger admirer of me than Pauline, than probably me. The way she stood up against all this attacks, and even for people on her own side. And I'm not just talking the Liberals. The minor parties have been just as vicious. But she stood strong, and here she is. She could save this freaking nation. But can she be PM? No one's probably earned the right more. But in Australia's interest, I'm not too sure she's capable. And it would be a disaster if she got in there and things started going bad halfway through her first term, because then the knives would come out and she doesn't deserve that. If I was advising Pauline, and she's entirely got the right, I would be trying to get some others from the Liberal Party, Conservatives like Hasty Taylor, Michaela Cash, Jacinta Price, and others, get them to join their ranks and let one of them pick. She can have the captain's pick on who should be the leader of the House and the lower house and ultimately be Prime Minister, and she should be Deputy PM. And she should spend the rest of her days in Parliament, influencing policy, being in a cabinet, knowing that she saved the country. That would be my advice if she was coming to me, because I just don't know. Like I said, some people are capable of being that leader of a company or lead, but you need some real knowledge. I'm not too sure. She's been in Parliament a long time, but she's never been a minister, for example. And if this is going to work, they've got to have people. It's good that this is where Barnaby Joyce could help her. I'm not confident on that, but he's at least had experience being Deputy PM and being in charge of ministries and all that sort of thing. But they need more people like that. That's all. Whatever happens, it's her choice. Let's hope the polls keep going that way. So, Lou, I'm going to do a bit of I've got the podcast tonight, but I haven't really had a good look at X. So, just to finish off with today on my rant, I'm going to have a bit of a look at X with you guys. Let's see what's happening in the West world. I did see this. How's this? So they're putting this omnibus bill. I'll just check that you still got this. They're putting this omnibus bill. This is the chief of the federal police. Just listen to what she's got to say. It's quite incredible. I'll get this up. Sorry.
And I guess the other thing I would say, like everybody, we only got this bill, late last night. So it's really
last night. So this is a rush job. Whenever politicians rush through anything, be worried.
Difficult for me to talk in any absolutes. In fact, it would be
on her defence. It would be
possible for me to do that as we're still working through the bill. And I guess the other thing.
That is incredible. So if she's still working through the bill, all the other members of parliament are only getting this last night and they're going to rush it through. On that basis alone, the LNP should oppose it. I mean, you're talking some pretty radical sort of things. Oh, my God. Kevin Rudd's resignation. Oh, K-Rudd couldn't handle Trump. You watch. As soon as he gets out, he'll start bagging Trump yet again. What else have we got? Breaking, Donald Lynch directly calls out Tucker Carlson. That goes 4 minutes 53. It's not so much a thing anymore, calling out Tucker Carlson. I am doing a thing tonight on liberal women in America. Now, liberals in America are the leftist Marxist version of women over here, the white women. They are insane. Let's see what this is all about.
Ugly bitch. Okay, so these women are very upset because ICE is not coming to protect them after they've been screaming at ICE. And I was asking her, hey, like, why do you want ICE to come and help you if you hate them so much? And now she's insulting me and telling me that I'm fat.
Really should stop eating sugar. Did she really stop eating sugar?
For sure. You should probably get off of your SSRIs because you're kind of crazy, girl. What's their job?
Arresting people who are assaulting people on public property.
Like you guys?
Oh, who am I assaulting? Who am I fucking assaulting? You see me touch anyone? You see me touch anyone?
You gotta like that. What's the go? Sorry, ladies. I don't mean to sound, what do they call it, misogynist. What the hell is going on with the women, the white, especially the white women on the left? Just don't understand it. Is our education system that bad? Is our uni system radicalising them? Candace Owens going. I mean, they just get on there, they get in their cars and they get in their thing. It's just crazy. So let's see what else is out there. Mick Manis, what's he saying? Well, me and Nick, we have an interesting exchanges on X. I like some of what he says. I don't like other parts. Same for him, I'm sure. But he's always an interesting read. All the people criticising Jews soon be finding themselves being arrested, and those who only criticise Muslims will be celebrating. Oh, wait a minute. The new laws proposal will also cover Muslims, and suddenly celebrating hate speech laws wasn't a good idea. Read what what he's saying is right. I put up a post last night, or this morning, sorry. These hate speech laws, if the leaders in the Jewish community think having more oppressive hate speech laws are going to lead to a decline in anti-Semitism, they're insane. It's not going to happen. I'll stop sharing now because I'm not supposed to go long. I'll leave some of this for tonight. But I'm a big supporter of the Jewish community. Oh, I have been. You can go through my feed to see it all out. I don't think I think it's appalling what they've had to go through for the last 2 years. The Bondi massacre was appalling. But and what Michelle Rowland and Albo, and they may have intentionally done this, unless if I don't give them credit for being this smart. Maybe Tony Burke, like I said, is cunningly smart. They've been very careful to put anti-Semitism in this. Instead of radical Islam. I think that's a mistake. Now they're talking, if you listen to Michelle Rowland, we consulted heavily with Jewish leaders about these hate speech laws. All the blame is going to get sheeted back onto the Jewish community if there's a bad response to this from the public. And if you're going to go to the greater, wider public and say, you're not allowed to say this, you're not allowed to say this, you're not allowed to say this, or you're going to jail, they can now blame that on the Jewish community. It's going to lead to a rise in anti-Semitism. It's not going to lessen it. I think they. I used to coach at a Jewish club, and it was for the Jewish community, pretty high profile. So it was Maccabi, Victoria. So just get it off the thing. And great bunch of guys, great people, everyone. And this is why I'm a big supporter of the Jewish community. But I had the team manager of my team come up to me one day and she said, Bob, one thing I hate about my Jewish community. I said, what's that? And she said, every time there's something wrong, they hide behind, they call someone an anti-Semite, or they just use it too willingly, the tag of anti-Semitism. I'd say, yeah, you're probably right there. And he's a classic example of it. The whole Royal Commission should have been focused on radical Islam, not anti-Semitism. Go to the heart of the problem, the extremist and radical Islamist and the hate preachers. It's too broad now. And every Australian, for example, why should my speech be impacted because of two dickheads who decided to shoot 50 people? They should just go to jail. We got the laws to send those bastards to jail. I'm pretty confident. I'm not a legal expert, but I'm also pretty sure we got the laws under the current hate speech laws to address any hate preachers who would have radicalised them. So why are we getting even more onerous hate speech laws that could see, any number of us either be fined or go to jail? And these fines and these penalties aren't small penalties. So it could impact on some of the most innocent. So we get to be like England, where if you make a social media post, you end up going to jail. Well, I can say to everyone out there, especially if you're like me and you've got nothing better to do in your life, and get on X and do live streams and make lots of posts, just dot your I's and cross your T's as best you can. And just make sure you be very careful with anything that could be construed as hate speech. Look, I'm going to keep trying to talk as I've talked. I'm going to say what I've got to say, but I'm just going to have in the back of my mind, if I hit that, could they get me? So just got to word it very, very smartly. And when they talk about banning certain organisations, let's say they ban NSN. What's to stop NSN coming back under another name or another banner? I mean, there's lots of different ways to get around it, but they'll find a way. Burke and Albo, they're infatuated with the far right, even though the far right has never been really an issue. When was the last far right terrorist activity in this country? When was the last Islamic terrorist activity in this country? There's a sheet of them, starting from Bondi backwards. So anyway, that's enough of a rant for one day. I'll save it for later tonight. The Eureka Conservative podcast, Tuesdays, 8 o'clock. So we're on tonight, 8 o'clock, releasing a new policy. Should be good fun. Join us then. We've been getting a few exchanges from some people getting on the chat. So, I think I might have a chat already. Let's see. I've got a chat. That's a first. Ashley, good question. Hi, Bob. I like the videos. Sorry, there's always a but. There always. Can you please try to be more regular? I don't know what time you're on, so I keep missing you or coming in part way through. Yeah, no, I get that, Ashley. That's why I have my podcast 8 o'clock on Tuesdays. I have them every week on Tuesdays so people can catch me. You can go, I'll comment on it. Can I comment on that? I should be able to come on and not have a... Oh, there it is. If you go, I'll type it I've got to get this up to date, actually. .com.au. If you go to this website, I'll show it to you in a minute. theconservative.com.au. I do have to get these up to date. Forgive me because it's been holidays and I'm a bit behind. But if you ever do want to look at them, I can show you a nice, easy way when I get it. So if you go to that website, I'll share it with you in a minute. Sorry, it's coming up. So my issue is, I run my own business. Holidays, I'm a sports coach in basketball, so we have holiday camps, all that sort of thing. The hours vary. I also do some work with local businesses and my landlords, and basically I just get on here when I get an extra half-hour hours. It could be during lunch breaks or some things like that. So I would love to be more consistent. maybe it's something I've got to give a bit of thought to once school goes back. At the moment, I sort of just jump on whenever I have a chance. So I do apologise. But if you do want to catch up, I'll share this. You can go to that website. I've got it up now. And what I do, if you go down here to, I'm hoping you can see all that. I'll just double check. Yes. So if you can go here to, where is it? About Us, Politics, Opinions, Podcast. So there's my normal Tuesday night podcast. And here I've got these on. Like I said, I've got to get this up to date. I'll try and do this in the next 24 hours for you. It's coming. My internet's very slow lately. I don't know what's going on. And what I have is I have links to each daily's podcast. So if you've missed something and enjoy the videos, well, you can come on to my website, go under podcast. As you can see, I think there I am. And, I am behind. So I've got to get December and January up to date. So you click on that, and that will have all my November. I've even got to get November. I've been slack. So I've got to get the November ones up to date. I'll do that in the next 24 hours. That's not hard. I'll get those pages up to date. And you're the very first one that has asked me that, Ashley. So I apologise. But you can, like I said, go to that website, theconservative.com.au. I'll put all my live streams up on there and make sure you catch them. I do, on my feed also, I share it. So I know some people have some issues with it. So what I do is, after I finish the live stream, I repost it with a quote. And that way you can just go to my feed and get onto the links that way. So I try and do it that way. But I actually have had now one or two people say, can it become a more regular time? So give me another this week and next week, because it's all pretty full on. And I'll see what I can do about accommodating that, because I actually have had a couple of requests. So I've got to find a time that suits. The hard part is whatever time you put in, right, is some people, like if I go early mornings, people go, it's too early, I'm never going to see it. So they're going to go to those links anyway. I'm going to struggle with evenings, and I've already got the podcast on the evenings. I've been trying to get it around 3 o'clock, 3:30. We'll see. I'll see what I can do about making it a bit more regular. But like I've got schools that get me to go run clinics. I don't make $1 out of doing these videos. So when the schools call me for clinics, I'm going to be at the school all day, and I'll miss a day or I'll miss a week. So where I do the clinics, this keeps it flexible. I can finish the clinic, come home, and then I do my video. So, the only way I could do it more regularly is to do evenings, which would be difficult, or the other way is to do it in the mornings. And I'll be honest, unlike our politicians, I'm not a good riser in the morning, so I'm not real keen on getting up at 6, 7 or 8 and doing the live streams. Then I'll either be sleeping, having my breakfast, or getting a coffee. So I'll give it some thought though, all right, and see what we can do. But in the meantime, you can go to theconservative.com.au, go to the podcast page, look for the Daily Rant, and I'll make sure I'll do a bigger effort of getting them all up. So I have been slack, holidays cut me a little bit of a break there. Anyway, that's it for me today. I've gone longer than I should have. Actually, I haven't done too bad, 38 minutes. And I had to address for Ashley. So we'll see how I go. Hope that helps, Ashley. And you can get to see as many of these as you can. So from me, there he comes. Come on, JJ. He nearly always comes over. He always comes over to say hello, goodbye, don't you? He likes it when I'm saying bye, because it usually means we go out the front yard and throw his favourite ball around and we go for WALK. Not tonight. I've got too much stuff on. So God bless. God bless your kids. God bless your grandkids. God bless your pets. God bless that country. And let's make it great again. I will see everyone hopefully either tonight on the podcast or tomorrow on my next rant. See everyone. Bye.